Which debt should you pay off first? The right order. Not all debt deserves the same urgency, but most people treat it like it does paying off whatever feels loudest or scariest in the moment, instead of what's actually costing them the most. Getting the order wrong doesn't just cost extra money. It can add years to how long you're carrying debt at all. Let's build the right order together. The natural instinct is to pay off whatever feels the most urgent emotionally: the accounting collections. The one a family member keeps mentioning. The one with the smallest number left. That instinct isn't crazy, and we'll come back to it later in this video. But by itself, it isn't the same as paying off what's actually costing you the most money. Before any ranking happens, one rule overrides everything else. Pay the minimum on every single debt you have, without exception. Missing a minimum payment even on the debt you've decided is the lowest priority, can trigger penalties and real damage to your credit. Prioritizing which debt to attack extra never means skipping payments on the rest. Rule 2. Once minimums are covered, rank your remaining debt by interest rate, highest to lowest. The interest rate is the clearest, most objective measure of what a debt is actually costing you per dollar borrowed. And it's the single best starting point for deciding where your extra money does the most good. In practice, credit cards tend to land near the top of that list. Their rates are typically far higher than most other common debts, which is exactly why we treat credit card payoff with its own urgency in our other debt videos. If you're carrying a card balance alongside other debt, it's almost always the first serious target. On the other end, things like a mortgage or certain student loans tend to carry meaningfully lower rates and much longer timelines. That doesn't mean ignore them forever, it means they're rarely the urgent priority when there's higher rate debt sitting elsewhere. Paying an extra dollar toward a low-rate mortgage while a high-rate card balance grows is usually working against yourself. There's one category that jumps the entire line: extremely high-interest short-term debt, like payday loans. These carry rates so far beyond typical consumer debt that they deserve emergency-level urgency, even ahead of a maxed-out credit card. If this applies to you, that's the one exception to work on first, using every available resource. On the flip side, debt sitting at a genuine 0% promotional rate, like a store financing deal or an intro balance transfer offer, can reasonably wait, since it's not costing you anything yet. The one non-negotiable part: track its expiration date closely, because the moment that promo ends, the rate can jump sharply and change its priority overnight. Now, back to that emotional instinct from earlier. It's not wrong, it's just secondary. If tackling one small, low-priority balance first would give you a real, tangible win that keeps you motivated to keep going, that small deviation from pure math can be worth it. This is essentially the logic behind the Snowball method, which we cover in its own video. Debt that's already gone to collections is its own track, separate from the interest rate ranking. It can affect your credit differently, and it often responds better to a direct conversation, sometimes negotiating a reduced lump sum settlement, than to the standard extra payment approach. If you're dealing with collections, that usually deserves its own focused attention. A question that comes up here: should you pay off a low-rate debt aggressively, or invest that extra money instead? As a rough guide, the higher a debt's rate is relative to what you could reasonably expect to earn investing, the more it favors paying it down first. This is a genuinely personal call that also depends on your comfort with risk. We're not going to tell you the right answer here, just the framework. Here's how to build your actual list. Write down every debt with its balance and rate. Pay minimums on all of them. Move any extreme rate short-term debt to the very top. Rank everything else by rate. Note any 0% promotional balances and their expiration dates separately. And if you genuinely need an early motivational win, allow yourself one small exception. A common mistake here is constantly re-ranking based on whichever debt was mentioned most recently, a call from a collector, a headline about interest rates, a friend's advice. Once your list is built, the goal is to hold that order and work it steadily, not rebuild it every time something new grabs your attention. That said, it's reasonable to revisit the list occasionally after a rate changes, a promotional period ends, or your income shifts. The distinction is between a deliberate, occasional check-in and reacting to every piece of noise. One is maintenance, the other is what keeps people stuck rebuilding a plan instead of running it. Let's recap. Pay minimums on everything, always. Rank the rest by interest rate, with true short-term high-rate debt jumping the line and genuine 0% offers able to wait. Handle collections as its own track. Allow yourself one motivational exception if it keeps you going. Then hold the order and work it. If this helped, follow Liberty Wealth Insights for more financial education, made simple, in plain English, no jargon. We'll see you in the next one.